What's up? How y'all doing up in here, man? You know I got something to say. Y'all know I got something to say for sure. One of the main things that I'm tapping in right now, I got a dear friend of mine, Quita. Quita's tagged into this post because for one, she's amazing, you know. And I should have done this a long time ago. I was just sitting here thinking the other day and was like, how am I feeling and where am I at with my energy and, all of these different pieces that come along with the physical, because with a physical, there's a spiritual, we know this, but how important is it to people? A lot of people don't really tap into how important your spirit is and the alignment of your spirit with its energy and the sources that come to you energetically and in spirit. And so if anybody's ever familiar with Reiki, I know if I'm pronouncing it wrong, please enlighten me on how to properly pronounce it. But Reiki, what's up with it, Chessie? But Reiki is something that I was never tuned into. I never really focused on it a lot because I feel that it wasn't valid for me. I didn't believe that I needed it for anything. I felt that anything that I needed would be like a real massage or something from somebody. And when you start to get into it, that is one of the most refreshing experiences that a person could probably ever go through. Shout outs, what up with the tunes? What's up with it, Mario? Reiki, channeling energy, just the experience of that in itself. Now, some people think that they're too tough, and some people think that they're just well beyond that, and some people just think that that doesn't matter to them. But I'm challenging you. Just like you go through life and you try different things and you experiment different scenarios and different avenues in life, knowledge is important. And the only time that we really gain knowledge is when we seek knowledge. What's up with it, Erica? Only time we really gain knowledge is when we seek knowledge. And so I'm bringing knowledge to you. So there's been places you done drove by them, you done seen Reiki practices and Reiki session places, locations. I don't even know what to call it. I just know that my homegirl, she does it. You feel what I'm saying? And so we find ourselves with this blocked up energy, and a lot of the times we'll feel certain sorenesses in our body, or we'll feel certain areas in our body, and we'll instantly think that, oh, I need to get a massage. What up with it, Joe? We'll instantly think that, man, I need to go and get a massage because I'm sore, or I need to get a massage because what up? Hey, it's always about you, bro. It's always about you, man. I got you. And we think that soreness means massage, soreness areas, you need to get it rubbed out. But a lot of the time it's just misplaced energy or it's stored energy that needs to be released. Energy is a living thing and it moves around and it can be channeled and it can be redirected. It can be smoothed out, it can be restored, it can be built. And so for my example is that one day I was talking to Quita and she hit me up and she was like, what's up with it, King? I got this feeling. She said, I seen you talking on the video. This a while ago. She said, I seen you talking on the Facebook, and I got this feeling that you got energy or you got blockage. And so I was like, okay, you know what I'm saying, my guy. She said, I said, okay, I got a blockage, and I said, explain more. And she was like, so what areas in your body do you feel that you have the most tension? Appreciate it, Tunes. She said, what areas in your body do you feel you have the most tension? And then before I can even answer, she said, hold on. So she said, I'm getting a feeling that my neck area, hell yeah. I mean, my neck was like hella backed up and cramped up. What's up with it, Scott? Hella backed up and cramped up. Alex was good. And when she said it, she was like, all right, I'm going to try some stuff. And so from where she was at, which is another part of the town, she was doing her thing. I heard this and looked into it, and I've heard that it's a practice that is not of God. It's a considered new age and not of Christian. I'm not Christian, so you can kill that noise. What are your thoughts on whatever the believer in Christ? First of all, you have to understand See, that's the terminology. So this is turning into a whole new conversation when you talk about the practice is not of God. And when you look at God, God is a person that was the energy that healed with hands. So let's kill that noise. You can't you can't move about in life, especially when you pick up that Bible. You can't move about in life. You got to ask yourself, what was God teaching his disciples? He was teaching his disciples to heal people. What up with it, Dorothy Anthony? Christ was teaching his disciples to heal people. Heal people. What one would consider magic. Let's be mindful. Heal people with the anointing hands. Heal people for good. Christ was teaching people that if they're blind, you can help the blind see. That's magic. If they're crippled, you can help the cripple walk. That's magic. If they're possessed, you can unpossess a person through channeling spiritual energy. That's considered magic. Walking on water is considered magic. Raising people from the dead is considered magic. So all of the practices that people say is not God-like is the same thing that God did. And not only is it the same thing that God did, but it's the same thing that God taught his disciples. So let's be mindful who he was teaching. Christ wasn't teaching Christians. So when you start to narrow this stuff down, we can unpack it. But I don't think this is the place for that, but I'm going to put it in perspective. Christ didn't sit down with a circle of Christians and teach Christians the disciple way. Christ sat down with disciples and taught the disciples to become disciples and make disciples of all nations. So this Christian conversation that people be bringing up, Christianity is a pagan belief. I'm not a pagan. I'm not a Christian. I don't follow a Christian ideology. I don't do Christianity. Christianity is a religion that came years after Christ's ascendance. Okay, so be mindful of those facts. Okay, so when you start looking at the fact of Christians, so when people start talking about Christianity and what is that all about? When Christ was walking with his disciples, he was teaching them the way of discipleship, right? He baptized his disciples, okay? He educated. Those 12 people that he was with on a regular basis were disciples. So when people were being persecuted and people was being killed in the name of Christ, those were not Christian people. Those was disciples. Whenever those people walked around in the market and the people say, well, who are those people? Then what you would hear people would say is, oh, those are the followers of Christ. Those is disciples of Jesus, okay? So mindful of that part. Those is Jesus' disciples. Those are followers of Jesus, okay? And so they was like, well, who is Jesus? And so that became a whole new conversation about what people believe. It wasn't until years, 4 to 5 or so years later, after Christ ascended and his disciples spread around, that the concept of Christianity came into place. So be mindful of Christianity. Christianity is something that came years after Christ. And so what Christ warned his disciples that many will come in my name and I will not be with them. That means that Christianity came in the name of God and he's not with that. So we can jump into that on another level, but right now, let's keep mindful of what I'm talking about. So my friend, Quita, she came to me and she said, Threat, I feel like you got tension in your neck. I didn't carry a conversation with her, but she knew. So she targeted, she said, I'm going to do some stuff for you. And so she's done it. She said, you should feel some warmth in your back. And right when she said it, I started feeling the heat in my back, right? And so when I'm feeling the heat in my back, I started to feel energy, like a restored energy. Because in my back, I started having like lower back, not problems or issues, but I just started feeling cramps and pains in my lower back, pains in my neck, pains in my shoulders. And so as she was talking to me, I wasn't expressing to her where my pains and where my tension and where my energy was stored up at. She just started calling it out, calling it out, calling it out. And so by the time I got off of the phone with her, I felt relaxed. I felt more at ease and I felt more in touch with myself. And I felt, like I was, I have more energy. My energy was more free and more vibrant to do what it's supposed to do, right? And then so she came and she set me up for a session. So she came to me, she met up with me, and she gave me a session. And so in the session, what Reiki is basically you would lay down on a table, and it's almost like a massage therapy, but it's not massage therapy. It's the healing of hands. It's the power of energy in hands. So when people talk about, well, I heard Christian with the power of hands, Christ teaches you to have healing hands. You have to have healing hands, okay? So be mindful of what's up with it, Billy. Being mindful of your healing hands, the power of the hands. The hands has magic. Christ tells you, you can anoint people. You can touch people. You touch people and you heal people. That is the power. So to blame devil worship in or whatever the case may be, or witchcraft or sorcery or whatever it is. Those are all connotations of people that didn't like what Christ was doing. So every time he done that, they would say sorcery. Every time he done it, they would say it was witchcraft. Every time he done that, they would say it's magic, not of the people. He was pulling sources and magic from somewhere else other than what everybody else was believing in. So when you start to learn the practices and the ways of Christ, and you start to heal people according with the power of hands, then what that ends up making people outside of the true teachings of Christ, they make them look at you like you was some devil worshiper. It make you look at you like you practice witchcraft, or it makes you look at you like they claim he was a demon as well, because he was healing people. He was doing all of these practices, and he was in tune with self. You know, he had a connection to the source. You get what I'm saying? And when he done his work, and he said to the people, basically, in paraphrasing, would the devil do work on his own stuff to heal and make better for a person? No. So when Christ healed, he healed from a place of love. When my partner Quita came, she healed from a place of love. And so when we start talking about, again, keeping me on track, when we start talking about the Reiki, so what Reiki is that if you lay down on the table like a massage place, they don't put their hands on you, but they use the energy in their hands, which is the feelers, the connected energy in your hand. What's up with it, Jeremy? They use to connect the energy in their hands, and they scale your body. So it's like basically running your hands over your body. And it's like magnets, right? So the hands become like magnets. And when you're in tune with yourself and you have the ability to extract negative energy, that's what she did, you know, and that's what people that practice Reiki do. They extract, and they use positive energy in their hands to extract negative energy from one's body. And so if you allow yourself to be open, just like Christ told the people before he healed the person, he let you know that you too have to have faith if you want this to work. Whatever with John Tucker, you have to have faith for the things to work. And so if God came to heal a person, he can heal a person, but you have to believe at the same tone. Shout outs, Quita. What's good with you? You have to believe in the practice in order for the practice to really work on you. You get what I'm saying? And so when Quita got me, she said, okay, so just lay still. So I laid still, relax. It's the breathing method. So I'm breathing right. And so as she run her hands over me, when she ran her hands, and again, this is not with touching, this is just connecting energy. So when she ran her hands over me, I'm not knowing where she's doing because she's not physically touching me. But as she runs her hands over me, she said, "Can you feel that?" And as she's moving, I'm saying, "Yeah." And she said, "Where do you feel it at?" And every time she moves somewhere, I would say, I feel like energy. I feel warmth. I'm gonna just use it as warm. I feel warm energy coming from like my neck, and it travels down my back, and it comes and circulate around my back area, like my lower back area. It'll circulate those areas. And in essence of every time I called it, she would let me know that that's where her energy is at right now. And so while doing that, what I started to realize is that to extract negative energy, you got to be intentional. If you're the practitioner, if you're the person that's doing it, you are really pulling energy from a people. You're pulling the negative energy and you're discarding the negative energy. That's why when we talk about those crystals and we talk about those are things that basically trap energy or negative energy and produce positive energy, right? So when I seen her doing it, I can, because I'm not asleep, but I'm looking over side of the head. And so when I look at her scoop energy, I'm seeing her pour the energy, throw the energy elsewhere. Because as you collect the energy, you got to release the energy. The energy has to go somewhere. So when I seen her doing it, I started to correlate. I can feel negative energy leaving my body. So a person like my partner Quita, I'm shouting out to Quita. A person like Quita, anybody in that practice, what we need to be mindful of is these are the people that's willing to come into your life and extract all your negative energy and receive it to themselves. One, because they're built to receive the energy. Two, they're built to receive the energy and discard of the energy because they are that in tune with themselves. It's like a person with trauma. As you're a psychologist, you're a therapist, if you go to deal with somebody's trauma or you go to deal with somebody's issues, you have to be willing to accept that energy as your own in order for you to help the person out, right? So when Quita comes to me and anybody, when they come to you with this to extracting of negative energy, be willing to allow your energy to go. You can't hold on to your energy if you want it to work. If a person came to you and said, let's channel your energy, or let's restore your energy, or let's get rid of your negative energy, right? Relax, be open to the process of allowing your energy to be released from yourself. You have to want to do that in order for it to work. And if you are a willing participant, If you're a willing participant with a person that believes that what they're doing is beneficial, then that's where the magic happens at. So again, those are the practices of when we talk about Christ. That's what Christ practiced. That's what he tried to teach his disciples. That's why he was frustrated with his disciples, because they didn't believe in the healing hands. They didn't believe in the power. That's why we think when Christ healed people, he touched people, right? He touched people. He used his hands. The hands are powerful. You know how much power is in your hands? You know what things you can do with just your hands? It's not even touching people. It's about the energy that projects from your hands, the energy that is surrounded in your hands, the energy that extract negative energy. These become magnets to a negative body, right? So if your body is negative, a person with positive energy will come and extract that energy from you and cast the energy elsewhere. You don't need the energy. And so when she done that to me, it was a process. And I love the fact that I got results and I felt the release. And then it was a great thing because there was no physical contact. When you can have spaces, and like I'm saying, if anybody that's just tapped in, some of the times you feel like you got knots or kinks or pains. That's not muscle spasm. A lot of the times it's just negative energy. You got stored up energy. A lot of people, we store energy in our neck and our shoulders, right? And there's massage can help, but it's extracting that energy. You got to get rid of the energy. You know how sometimes you get mad, and when you get mad, you clench up. When you clench up, you get upset. That negative energy is why you upset. You don't see why you upset. You just feel upset. And so when you feel upset, the things that you can't see is energy. So the energy constrict in your neck area and in your shoulders areas. That's why when people get mad, the first thing they do is they clench up or they tighten up. When you tighten up, and just because you mentally sound and you mentally release yourself, or I'm not tripping no more, you done already stored that energy into your body, right? And so until you have a person that's willing to know what they're doing when it comes to believing in their hands and believing in the power in their hands to come and heal you through positive and negative energy and kinetic energy, if a person is willing to do that, you allow that person to do so, then it would be in your benefit. Hands are powerful. That's why Christ believed in his hands. And so anybody that keeps saying, what's up with Avant? Anybody that keeps saying that when you see a person practicing Reiki, they tell you that yoga is demonic. You get what I'm saying? Christians would tell you that yoga is a satanic practice. What is so evil about being one with the universe, being one with God, being one in his wholeness? When you say that the Most High is everything in the universe and beyond, and he wants you to be one with him, then you must connect with the sources of energy. You must connect with the stars. You must connect with the energy in the world. You must connect with the energy in the universe. This is where Christ pulled his energy from. He pulled the energy from the Most High, and the Most High granted him the ability to do the things that he was able to do. Walk on water, sorcery, they called it. Healing blind people, leprosy, getting rid of the tension from people that was crippled and blind and couldn't walk and possessed, and he came through and started healing these people with all these different skills that people call sorcery. Lord forbid when he started walking on water. As soon as he walking on water, since you a believer of God, since he was walking on water, they was like, oh, that is witchcraft. That's devil work. So modern day people do the same thing. So when you start listening to people, now what's fake is these fake religious and holidays. That's what's garbage. When you believe in these phony holidays. Why is it that people believe in these broken holidays that ain't even traditional to people for real? Not to my people, but you believe in these holidays and you don't know that these holidays push you further and further away from Christ and further away from God and further away from the Most High. You don't realize that those false practices and worshiping those things, you worship Valentine's Day, you worship Thanksgiving, you worship St. Patrick's Day, you worship 4th of July, you worship Easter, you worship all of these holidays, and ain't none of those things getting you no positive alignment. None of those things is enriching your spirit. None of those things is raising your frequencies to a higher level. None of those things is putting you one with God. All of those things that you worship and practice in traditional holidays is the same things that disconnect you from the Most High and the energy that surrounds you. So you want to talk about witchcraft and deception, you tap into those beliefs of false religions and false practices and false traditions, the things that remove you further and further away from God, right? Because if God came to you right now and he seen the blind, crippled, dead person on the ground, he said, you can walk, you can see, now get up from the ground as a dead person. The first thing that the person would say is that's evil, that's witchcraft, that's sorcery. That's not the way of X, Y, and Z. But Christ would say, this is why I don't have time for you people, because you're not doing what I'm here to teach you how to do. We're supposed to all be able to heal people, especially if you're followers of Christ. If you're a believer of God, in that higher energy, you're supposed to be able to heal people. You're supposed to be able to help a blind person see. You're supposed to be able to help the cripple walk. This is what your blessings is able to do. And so when you see people doing it, don't shoot down a person's practice because this is what they're doing. They help your energy and your spirit. So what's wrong about a person correcting your spirit? That's what people get it twisted at. You see these people helping you in your spirit, and the first thing that you say, well, I hear that, nothing against you, Erica. I understand what you're saying. But when people say that, people come and say, well, yoga is centering you. Yoga, when you practice yoga's actually put you into an alignment to where your body can be in connections with the energies around it. It gives you balance. It gives you tranquility. It gives you a sense of peace. It gives you a sense of calm. It gives you a sense of, what's up, Glenda? It gives you a sense of oneness with the universe, with the energy, the positive energy. And the more that you become in tune with that energy, the more you can do for people spiritually, the more you can do for people with kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is basically the energy that connects all things. We're all connected through an energy and a vibration. So for one to speak down on something that can help enrich a person's spirit or enrich a person's soul or enrich a person's mind or enrich a person's energy or spirit again all the way around, that's demonic. To speak against that, that's what you call evil, if you asking me. So, but again, my partner, Quita, I appreciate you and your practices. I appreciate you and everything that you do. Your methods are very valid to me. And if anybody else has ever been under your training, your techniques, I'm sure that they can say the same thing. Oh yeah, already. No doubt. And I appreciate you too, Erica. I really do. And Quita, I appreciate you allowing yourself to be a portal for people to allow you to channel their negative energy. I appreciate that. Most people don't want to deal with people's negative energy, right? Because the energy is what's real violent. What's up with it, Tanae? What's up with it, Reach Dog? The people don't want to see. That's another thing too. It's easier to deal with people physically because you can tolerate a person physically. You can X-way, throw a person out your face physically. But when you start dealing with people's energies and the energy emotions of people, that becomes crucial. That's dangerous. That's a dangerous spell because you're dealing with wickedness. You're dealing with negative energy is an evil spirit. It really is. You know what I'm saying? When you really come down to it, that tension that you build in your body is a negative spirit. It's an evil spirit. It's almost demonic because it possesses the body in a way that cripples the body. Right? You know what I'm saying? So most people don't know how to come through with a sense of peace to deal with that negative energy. And you need people that are in tune with themselves that can come in and help with the energy. Now, how a person receive it, you have to be on, if you're a receiver, you have to be open to the practice of being something that can benefit you. You can't sit down at a table and just automatically have negative thought because that's evil. You sit down with a person that wants to heal you in spirit and energy, and you thinking to yourself, oh, this ain't gonna work. It might not work for you if that's how you come into the table. You have to come with the thought of, I want to get rid of this negative energy. I want to feel better for myself. I don't want to be feeling all pent up and tension, you know what I'm saying, with tension and tense. I don't want to feel that way. You get what I'm saying? I want to feel that peace. I want to feel relaxed. I want to feel like I'm refreshed. You get what I'm saying? How do I do that? It's not physical. It's energy. Allow somebody to work with you. And if you have a person like my people, Quita, and there's a lot of people, but I'm speaking about my homegirl. If you have a person that's here and you listen to them people, what's demonic about them? When you listen to them, they speak with love. Come on, man, let's be real. They don't speak with negative energy. They don't even like negative energy. When you hear them speaking, I am great. I am worth it. I am special. I am beautiful. I am love. What's evil about that? When Christ was here and he's all love, that's what he was telling his people. I am love. I am the truth. I am the light in this darkness. I am all positive. When you're dealing with people that works with Reiki, that's what they're bringing to the table. They're bringing a positive to your negative. And that's where you get things done. Your body's in the negative. Your energy's in the negative place. They come with a positive energy. That's a charge. That's how you make stuff happen. That's how you move things forward. You can't come to a person with a positive energy and you work with a person that's willing positive correction and expect something spectacular to happen. It doesn't happen like that. You have to have a negative energy in order for a positive person to work with you on benefiting. So what's up with Amanda? So those become the most important pieces to it. I asked the questions for the Christians who feel this practice is not of God. That is not my personal belief, but thank you. Oh yeah. And so on another note, whenever we want to get into talking about that, I'm gonna say this. And I'm gonna leave my people. Y'all need to connect. My people, Quita, her information is tagged to this link. You should hit her up if you interested in knowing more. If you have the budget, which is reasonable, if you have the budget to go and get a practice, again, if you show up to the table, show up with the thought in mind that you're open to seeing how this plays out in your life. And you have to go there with the open mindset that you want to be refreshed and you want to be restored and you want to get rid of all of this negative and evil energy that you have stored up in your body. And the moment that you do that and you approach a table like that, then your results will be extremely beneficial. But you can't go. That's like a person going to a masseuse and you sitting at a massage table and they want to massage you, but the whole time they're trying to massage you, sitting up there tensed up. They can't get into your muscles if you're flexing. Relax. Relax and allow the people to do their surgery on you and let them do what they do with their hands. And they're great at it if you just relax. You get what I'm saying? The same thing with Reiki. If you go there with the relaxed energy, you just let yourself just completely just relax and let them do what they're doing. And the only thing that you should be thinking about is release my negative energy. I'm giving you my energy. Since you want my negative energy, it's not about saying anything. It's about where your mind's at. And it's about how much you're willing to release from yourself. So if I'm a garbage man and I came to collect your garbage, don't just bring me some of your garbage. Give me every piece of garbage that you have sitting in your house. What's up with it, Chris? Give me all of the trash that you have in your house. I'm here for a moment's time. I'm gonna allow you to go in there and collect all of the trash that you feel like you have. And once you feel like you got all of the trash, I'm gonna collect that trash from you. I'm gonna take it and I'm gone. Now, if you start to restore trash in your house, then just hit my line and I'll come back. That's what my people Quita is for. You get what I'm saying? So your temple has a lot of stored up trash. You got a lot of negative trash and garbage in there. Negative thoughts, negative emotions, negative you're just being a negative Nancy or negative Nathan. Either way it go, you have garbage that you want to get rid of. And people like Quita is here to help you relieve yourself from the trash so you can have a cleaner house. You get what I'm saying? In correlation to energy. And allowing them to do that would be more beneficial than you could possibly imagine. But the thing about the Bible is when we talk about Christian stuff and beliefs in God, for one, God teaches you to be like him. So he teaches you to be godly and God-like. So when you realize how he was teaching his disciples, he wasn't just talking to his disciples to say, hey, you guys is pretty cool. He was talking to his disciples and saying, I need you to learn how to raise people from the dead. I need you to learn how to help the blind see. I need you to practice on how to help the cripple walk. I need you to practice on how to rid people from leprosy. I need you to practice on how to walk on water. I need you to practice on how to feed the multitudes of the people with a small portion of food. I need you to learn these things. You know, that's why I'm teaching you. I'm teaching you how to be like me. And so when Christ is teaching his disciples how to be like him and he's God, he's teaching them to be godly, God-like, not manly and not man-like. We're beyond that if you practice in the actual true beliefs of God and Christ himself, right? And to take that a little further note, just so we're clear, when you read in the book of Matthew, Christ tells his disciples, he said, go not the way of the Gentiles, okay? And a Gentile is what? Somebody that's non-Hebrew. He said, go not the way of the Gentiles, nor enter into the cities of the Samaritans. Yet I tell you to seek out your brothers in the lost tribes, or seek out the lost tribes of Israel, right? So Christ has said, I'm going to repeat this one more time. What's up with it, Tim? I'm going to say this one more time. Christ said to his disciples, he actually commanded them and he charged them. He said, go not the way of the Gentiles and enter it not the city of the Samaritans. Okay? Seek out your brothers of the lost tribes of Israel. So when he tells you go not the way of the Gentiles, that basically means don't follow behind Gentiles. Gentiles and their pagan beliefs. Their beliefs can be what they want to be, but what Christ told his disciples were what he wanted them to know. And so if Christ told you to go not the way of the Gentiles, he meant go not the way of the Gentiles. And so when Christ was put on that cross, when he was put on that cross and umpteen something years later in South Turkey, in Antioch, was the first Gentile church, okay? That was the creation of the first Gentile church. It's the book of Acts, chapter 21. It's chapter 21. It's chapter 21. It's verse chapter 1. I'll figure it out. You figure it out yourself. But in the book of Acts, the first Gentile church was created by the one that people favor the most, which is Saul / Paul and Cornelius, or whoever that cat is. So they created the first Gentile church, and it tells you, and there the disciples were first called Christians. Understand the correlation of the words. In Antioch, South Turkey, was the first Gentile church, and there the disciples were first called Christians. Okay, what's up with it, Tracy? So if they're the disciples, and they're the disciples were first called Christians, then that means prior to then, no disciples were called the Christian. They was just disciples, or the followers of the way, or they was followers of God's, or they was Messiah's people. You get what I'm saying? They was Christ's people, his homies, or whatever you want to call it. But prior to that, they were not called Christians. So when people get to throwing this word, well, Christians was persecuted. No, disciples were persecuted. Christians were crusading. So let's be mindful. And if Christ tell you in the book of Matthew, go not the way of the Gentiles, that means don't do what Gentiles do. And then 4, 5, 6 years later, you find the first Gentile church and the disciples were first called Christians then. That should be a problem with you as a follower of Christ. It should be a real problem with you. You get what I'm saying? And then we start tapping into the fact that Christ said people would say that they spoke to me in the desert, and they will be lying to you. And the first thing that Paul did was say that he spoke to Christ in the desert, so that he was lying to him. So regardless of what your beliefs in Christianity is, y'all believe how you want to believe. I'm not here to knock you. But if somebody's arising a question of what Christianity means to me, I'm going to just tell you that. If speak about it, I'm not about it. So I never heard Christ speak once about Christianity. And if there's one person that can show me anywhere in the Bible where Christ ever told his disciples about Christianity, then I give you $1 million. I'll go rob a bank to give you $1 million. If you can show me where Christ told his disciples to be Christians, and then you show me I'll show you where he told his disciples, go not the way of the Gentiles. And so maybe that's a little structured conversation. So I'm gonna tell you what he meant to say, since you probably don't understand that. Don't get down with these Gentiles. You get what I'm saying? Don't engage with the Gentiles. Don't do their Christmases. Don't do their Easters. Don't do their Valentine's Day. Don't do their St. Patrick's. Don't do their Halloweens. Don't do their 4th of July's. Don't do none of that. Those are all their traditions. Those are Gentile beliefs. Go not the way of the Gentiles. Don't do what Gentiles do. Seek out the lost tribes of Israel. That's what you're supposed to do. What's up with it, honey? Seek out the lost tribes of Israel. That's what you're supposed to do. Go not the way of the Gentiles. And then 5 years later, you in South Turkey, Antioch, where you have the first Gentile church and the disciples were first called Christians here. All practicing whatever they was practicing. But when Christ was teaching his disciples, he was teaching them sensitive situations of Reiki. And you can add that to your correlation, because it was healing people. It was making people healthier and keeping people aligned with their spirits and understand who they truly are as an energy. So that's my spiel. Again, my homegirl information is here. If you guys are seriously interested with Reiki and you're seriously interested with getting rid of your energy garbage in your bodies, you can't do it yourself, then you need to connect with her in this link and she'll help you out. She got a lot to offer. You know what I'm saying? I would just check her out. And her website is on here as well. So check out our website. My fault, Quita. I'm glad I tagged you in it because I was supposed to do this a long time ago. So I just wanted to make sure that I did this because I was feeling some kind of way. And, I just thought I should put it out there. You know what I'm saying? I love you for what you do. And I love you and anybody that practices the things that you practice. So for anybody that's doubting yoga, anybody that's doubting Reiki, anybody that's doubting any other type of energy upliftingness, spiritual building and higher frequencies and tap into your chakras and everything else. I appreciate y'all's and y'all's work on your efforts. And I encourage anybody to tap into that and be more familiar with it versus running from it, because those are the exact things that we're here to do. And I'll tell you this for sure. As much as these Christians and these churches believe in faith and they say they believe in God, if they